Today is our actual Louisiana Children's Trust Fund Day at the Capitol. It's where we come out and have all of our grantees come and participate and advocate on behalf of the services that are provided by the Children's Trust Fund and the services that are provided in their regions. Basically, they come in and we come in and talk to the legislators and let them know how successful the programs are, how effective they are in treating the illness of abuse and neglect that exists. And it's very unfortunate that we have that. And as I stated earlier, I would love to see where we didn't have any forms of child abuse or any forms of neglect out there, Kathy. And it's really unfortunate that it does occur. And I'm pleased to see the success of these programs that exist, though, because we ask people to do more with less. And that's what they've been doing. Each year there have been budget cuts and budget constraints and reduced amounts of funding. And so we come out and we advocate. We talk to the members of the House, members of the Senate, and tell them about the programs that exist within their regions. The Louisiana Children's Trust Fund is the 5th oldest trust fund in the nation. We looked at transportation trust funds and said that we've got a transportation trust fund that takes care of our highways. Why not have a trust fund that works on the prevention of child abuse and neglect? And that's what was established. So it became the 5th oldest. And once we started, we kept on running a very good program and efficient, and basically a small grassroots grants throughout the state of Louisiana that work in conjunction with other programs or other nonprofits that are in place to make sure that we reach out to all of those families, schools, churches, individuals, to make sure that we work on the prevention of child abuse and neglect.
Louisiana Partnership is a statewide nonprofit advocacy organization that looks broadly at issues of children, well-being of children, and we look across and try to put a lot of emphasis on those early years, birth to 5, where we know that brain research tells us 80% of the brain is developed by age 4. So the investments that we make early, we know will make a difference. But clearly, we look across all ages to age 18.
And what types of services do you offer to the community?
What we do, again, as a statewide organization, is communications, education. We have email blasts that we send out. We have a lot of different ways. We conduct regional meetings across the state with all of these grantees and other partners to update them on what's happening, ways in which they can advocate better for their programs. And I think the most exciting thing that we are working on now is the 2015 platform for the well-being of children.
What types of things do you offer?
We have an early intervention program that we have in pre-K through 12th grade. We get referrals from the schools for behavior and truancy. At that point, we meet with the families, we do assessments, we figure out what services meet the needs of the families, and we put those in place.
Why is it important that this happens early on?
Well, if the earlier that you can catch, for instance, like if a kid is missing school in kindergarten, if you can catch it early, then it doesn't continue and increase. So, and the same thing with behavior. If you catch a behavior early on, you put interventions in place, then you can actually make a difference. And the risk factors, if you combat them with protective factors, you actually, the kids and the families can actually succeed.
LaPen, or Louisiana Parenting Education Network, better known as LaPen, L-A-P-E-N, is a statewide organization, and what we do is provide support and guidance to practitioners who work with families and teach parenting education. We provide professional development activities and other resources through our website at www.lapen.org and through annual conferences or summits that's available.
And why is it important that parents get these type of resources?
Well, parents are the first teachers we know of their children, and they're with their children at all times, so we know the importance of them helping in the overall development of their children, especially their emotional and social development. So we work with parenting educators to provide evidence-based and effective parenting education throughout the state.
What types of services specifically do they learn?
Well, they learn how to implement evidence-based parenting education programs. Some of the programs that are used in the state are nurse-family partnerships, nurturing parenting, and one of the ones that we've been piloting for the last several years is the Triple P Positive Parenting Program, which is an international, highly evidenced program out of Australia. And it really is very effective. Parents love it. It empowers the parents to provide their children with the skills that they need to be successful. We also have a certification program for parenting educators in collaboration with the LSU School of Social Work. And that's based on our core competencies, what we think parent educators need to know in order to provide parenting education in an effective manner.
That platform, as we are approaching an election cycle, we believe it's an incredible opportunity to educate those people who are running for office, all the way from governor, all of the statewide offices, the legislative offices, and the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, to look comprehensively at issues related to children, so child health, child welfare, disabilities, early care and education, all the way to juvenile justice. It costs us $424 a day to keep a child in an in-care facility for juvenile justice. We believe if we put some money on the front end, we can reduce those costs, but more importantly, have a better life for that child and their family. And so we're very hopeful that this document will describe concisely what those issues are and also give very specific recommendations that we think those people who are running for office could embrace.
How big of a problem is this?
Well, it's a huge problem. I mean, if you look at all of the numbers, we're on the bottom end of so many of those outcome measures. And I think that's why it's so important that the Children's Trust Fund, being one of the first states in the country to have a Children's Trust Fund, and to have continued that for almost 30 years, is so important.
And where can people get more information about your organization or the 2015 platform?
They can go to our website, which is Louisiana partnership.org, and call our office, which is 225-663-6861.
And how do they get the services? Do they pay for them? How is it funded?
Most of these programs are available through some of the various agencies. We are have been supported by the Louisiana Children's Trust Fund for years. And because of those grant funds, we've been able to train parenting educators from around the state, who in turn provide the services to their clients.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I would like to just thank the Louisiana Children's Trust Fund for their support over the years and for their just dedication to parenting education and to the well-being of our children and families in the state, and for supporting LaPen.
And what types of specific services do you offer? Do you have any specific?
Well, the main component is case management, but we offer anger management classes. We do something called Incredible Years, that's social skills for little kids. We do parenting classes for the parents. We do strengthening family classes for the families. For our more intense cases, we put in place counseling. We do assessments. We actually do a lot of referrals to some of the more extensive services in the communities, the mental health system, that has psychiatrists and psychologists.
And how is all this funded?
Well, we're actually funded in 3 parishes, Iberia, St. Martin, and St. Mary, through the Children's Trust Fund, and we write about 9 grants that go along with that. We get money from the school systems, the judges, and I don't even know all the places, but it's all kind of put together, and it funds the program.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
We really appreciate the Children's Trust Fund funding us every year. I mean, it really makes a difference with the families in our communities.
Good afternoon. Oh, come on, we're better than that. Come on, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It is such a great day here at the Capitol in Baton Rouge. It's a beautiful day. We've got nice bright weather, and want to thank you all for being here. My name is Malcolm Meyer. I am the president of the board of directors for the Louisiana Children's Trust Fund, and we have several of our grantees and some staff that are here also. So we really appreciate you coming out. You know, today, Louisiana's Children's Trust Fund salutes child abuse and neglect prevention programs in Louisiana. It's what we do annually to make sure that we recognize all of your hard work and your efforts, but it's also to make sure that we inform legislators of all of the successful programs that we have going on throughout the state. We recognize the community programs providing child abuse and neglect prevention programs for Louisiana's children and families. These are the champions doing something to prevent child abuse and neglect. Without the willingness of these programs and agencies to roll up their sleeves and do something about child abuse and neglect, the Louisiana Children's Trust Fund would not be as successful as it is. Today, the Children's Trust Fund wants to salute these community-based programs for their efforts. Through the continued support of the Louisiana legislature, the Children's Trust Fund has provided, it's always win there, provided funding for over 30 years, but the community programs providing the services. These programs are the boots on the ground, working with the parents, families, and children every day. Examples of the type of programs are, and we have several of them here as I stated earlier, the Parent Education and Support Program, school-based mentoring, self-protection for children, professional training events, public awareness and education, hospital and home visitation to new parents. These are all some of the type of services that are provided. Some of the grantees and the programs that are represented here today are Family Services of Greater Baton Rouge, the 16th Judicial District Court, Children's Law Advocacy Resources Online, Faith House, Girl Scouts of Louisiana, Pines to the Gulf, Hope House, CAC, West Side Visitation Center, Family and Youth Child Advocacy Services, Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, Hearts of Hope, I'm Modeling a New Image, IMANI is the acronym, IMANI, Louisiana's Children's Justice Act, Louisiana's Foster and Adoptive Parents Association, Louisiana Parent Educators Network, LaPen, Louisiana Partnership for Children and Families, the LouisianaChildren.org, Plaquemines Community Care Center Foundation, the New Orleans Children's Advocacy Center, Together We Can Conference, Volunteers of America, Baton Rouge, Youth Blast Conference, the YWCA Greater Baton Rouge, and I can go on, and also the NASW, the Louisiana chapter. The Children's Trust Fund does believe that child abuse and neglect is preventable, but it takes a community, a city, and a statewide effort. We have brought information today about the Look Before You Lock campaign. We've got a great poster, and we're going to have some of these little flyers that we're going to hang out and give to you so you can hand out. We've brought that information. It talks about leaving folks that leave their children in locked vehicles and how deadly it is. That is completely preventable form of neglect. We shouldn't, those type of accidents shouldn't happen. I cringe every time I hear one of, or any type of neglect, but when a child's left in a car or on a bus, it really just kind of throws me for a loop. We have a basic set of 4 tips that can help parents and caregivers to remember there is a child in the car. 1, do things when placing the child in the car seat that serve as a reminder a child is in the vehicle. Place a purse or briefcase in the back seat. Write a note or use the stuffed animal placed in the driver's view to remind you a child is in the car seat. Put your left shoe in the back seat even. Second, it works. Second, use a mobile phone alarm or a baby alarm app to remind you a child is in a car seat. Third, if you're dropping your child off at childcare and it's not your normal routine, have someone call you or the childcare to make sure the child arrived according to plan. And fourth, make a habit of looking in every seat, front and back, before locking the door and walking away. Those are just 4 really easy tips that we want everyone to know about, and all of those parents and anyone that's a caregiver or dealing with a child or driving a child to make sure that they look before they lock. We have left a tip card with every legislator and hope that you will pick up some of the Look Before You Lock campaign information or a poster to display at your office or any other office that you deem necessary to give it out to. You know, if Judy was here, I had to let you know, and several of you already know, Judy Harrison, our executive director for 26 years, has retired. Judy has moved on. She's watching a lot of Family Feud and Wheel of Fortune and and Price is Right. So, you know, she now can tell me what the price of cereal is in California. And so she's really enjoying her retirement. And she wanted to say thank you for all of your warm wishes. She would have been here, but I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge her and her hard work and her efforts. So if we can have a round of applause for Judy. Judy's the only lady I know that's had 3 retirement parties, and yeah, so we've had lots of good cake and lots of good food along the way. Thank you all for coming to Baton Rouge today. You are the representatives across the state, taking the message of prevention into each community across our state that we serve. While you're here today, send a message to your representatives and your senator, and thank them for their support of the Louisiana Children's Trust Fund, and introduce them to the programs in their region. But I would be remiss if I did not tell you that the Louisiana Children's Trust Fund, when it started, you know, some doctors, and they sat down and they looked at it and they talked about the fact that we have a trust fund for our highways. And the trust fund for our highways have been established and everything else, but why not have a trust fund for our most precious resources, our children? And it's the 5th oldest or youngest Children's Trust Fund program in the nation. And so we were number 5, and we've continued to run a very good, well-oiled machine, great program. And so I want to thank all of you. It's because of your hard work and your efforts that we're able to do that, but it's because of staff and the family that we have of folks that work on the issues to make sure that the trust fund does do things properly. Budgetarily wise, you're making sure our grantees have the funds that they need, make sure they have follow-up calls and follow-up data to make sure that we are working to do the best that we can to stamp out child abuse and neglect. And that's what we should be doing. So at this point in time, thank you. At this point in time, before we wrap up, please join me in welcoming Sherry Garisco, the Executive Director of the Louisiana Partnership for Children and Families. Sherry is going to brief us on the platform for children.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everyone, and I'll be very brief. But first, I want to say a huge thanks to Malcolm, because the Children's Trust Fund's Board of Directors is so critical to the work of the Children's Trust Fund. And so a big thanks to Malcolm for how many years of service?
Oh, going on about 21 now.
About 21, and so thank you. And I will also say thanks to Michelle Rabelais, because when Malcolm mentioned budgets and things like that, we know that Michelle is our go-to gal for so many things that we need like that. I'll be brief and just tell you that the partnership is a fellow grantee just like you, and so we know all the budget forms, we know all of that. One of the things that we have done as a statewide grantee, working with others, Louisiana Children, who is here, the National Association of Social Workers, the Louisiana Budget Project, and others, is to come together and build a platform for the well-being of children that we hope to release in late June. And we see this as an opportunity as we approach this upcoming election cycle to let those people who are running for public office, from the governor to the state legislature to the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, have a broad-based look at children's issues. So not just child health or child welfare, but also include juvenile justice, early care and education, disabilities, and big picture, what about the budget? What has happened budgetarily for children over the last 7 years? And so we hope to put together a very comprehensive document that has that information and is in a way that you could hand it to someone in your community who knows nothing about this, and you would be able to share with them specific recommendations around each of those topics. And so I would just tell you, if you have not heard about this, make sure to pass by the partnerships table. We're having a legislative update on June 18th, which is 1 week after the session ends. It is the only update focused on the well-being of children and families. And so I invite you to join us in that. As we get the document closer to being finished, we'll send it out, and we hope that you will sign on as supporting this document in your local communities. And so it's an exciting time. I think it's a time for us to step up and seize that opportunity, because as you look around, there's no one, I say, that knows children any better than the Children's Trust Fund grantees. So I salute you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. So, kind of summing up the day. I tell you this every year, and I know it gets pretty repetitive, but you are the best advocates for the programs that you represent. You are the best advocates to make sure that we continue to fight child abuse and throughout the state of Louisiana. I wish that we got to the point where we didn't need any programs because there was no more child abuse that was happening or no one that was neglecting a child. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So we need you to continue working hard. I know that we have continued to ask you to do more with less. I know the budget constraints that happen not just on the state level, but it affects you on the local level also and throughout the state. So we want you to continue working hard because you have. But with you being the best advocates, go back in, make sure you have contact with your legislators and let them know about the success that's happening in their region. Make sure that they continue to vote to say that we are not going to stand for any child being abused or any child being neglected. So with that, we're going to have some photos. Thank you again for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day and continue on, grantees. Appreciate you.
What type of issues do you focus on?
Well, we focus on everything from, foster parents that, we've got a group that's behind us, foster parents that are raising their grandchildren, working on home visitation, working on mentoring programs, working on peer-to-peer programs, working on programs that actually do, provide research as to what causes, abuse and neglect. So we've got a wide variety of programs that exist throughout the state.
Family and Youth Counseling Agency serves Southwest Louisiana, and we've been in business for many, many years, providing counseling services, leadership development for young people. We oversee the CASA program, Court-Appointed Special Advocates, as well as the Children's Advocacy Center in Southwest Louisiana.
Why is that important?
Well, services are important, and I think the most important thing is that the Children's Trust Fund actually provides funding so that we can continue to provide services for children and families in Southwest Louisiana. So funds are dedicated for the prevention of child abuse in our community, and we couldn't do that without the support of the Children's Trust Fund.
What types of services and resources do you offer to the community?
Family and Youth Counseling Agency provides services in the community in the form of counseling, advocacy, and education, including great things that we're proud of. Our Leadership Center for Youth provides services for young people in the form of leadership development, career exploration, civic engagement, and we also want to make sure that our young people have the opportunity to give back to the community in the form of services and volunteering their time so that they can give back to the community.
And where can people get more information?
We will be happy to provide services in Southwest Louisiana. Our number is 337-436-9533, or you can look at us on our website at www.fyca.org.
Is there anything else you want to add?
We are happy to be a partner and with the Children's Trust Fund. Again, funds from the Trust Fund helps us provide a lot of prevention services or vital components of service delivery in communities.
We have a wonderful campaign. Each year we try to take on something that we deal with statewide. And right now it is the Look Before You Lock campaign. And I brought a poster with me so I can show it to you. And basically it's real easy steps. We want parents, any caregiver, anyone transporting a child, sibling, or anybody who's driving, to make sure that they look before they lock. Do little simple things like putting a shoe in the back seat, taking your phone and putting it back there. Everyone travels with their phone now. No one's going to leave that in the car. So we want to make sure, I know it sounds real small, but we want to make sure that people actually do that. And if it's not your normal routine, we want people to actually, have a reminder. Set it on your phone. Have someone call the daycare. Make sure that they got to the daycare and make sure the child was there on time. So here's our campaign: is Look Before You Lock. If anyone wants any of these, of course they can call the office at 225-342-2245, or they can go to our website and put in, it's really interactive at www.lctf.org. You know, we also have wonderful campaigns and buttons that deal with children. We always ask, how are the children? That's what the message should be. We should ask, you know, if everyone woke up in the morning and said, how are Louisiana's children doing? What can we do to make their lives better? I think we would be doing a lot better, you know, in the state. So remember our campaign, look before you lock. Make sure that if you're transporting a child's in a car seat or in the back seat, young age, or on a school bus or any type of transportation, make sure that we look before we lock that car.
I'm with Team Dynamics. We are the coordinator for the Together We Can Conference. The Together We Can Conference is an annual event that's held in Lafayette, Louisiana, and we bring together all the different stakeholders that work with children who have been abused and neglected and do prevention work so that we can get everyone hearing the same message at the same time, rather than having multiple different messages going out. And actually, it helps with efficiency because we're bringing everyone together in one time rather than having multiple meetings. But we focus for 3 days on the topic of child abuse and neglect, and we have over 50 workshops within that 3-day period and about 600 attendees that come from across the state. This is a funded project by the Children's Trust Fund, so we're very excited to share it, and it'll be October 13th through 15th this year at the Cajun Dome.
What types of things will people learn there?
There'll be sessions on identification, reporting, effective testimony, preventive acts, how to help with compassion fatigue for those who are doing the work in the field. And we'll have sessions for foster parents on how to address issues within the home. We'll have some courses that will address the educational requirements and how to address that. Like when children move from home to home, they've got to be able to get their records back and forth. We want to be able to make sure that the children who are in care and who are being served don't have secondary trauma from the system.
And where can people get information about the conference?
They can go to www.latwc.com.
And how is all this funded?
Actually, we work on the funding from duplicate birth certificates. And so when the legislature decided that, you know, you guys actually need to come up with some source of revenue and funding that is not state general fund only. And so they said, come up with a concept, and we did. And we work on the duplicate birth certificates. And what we do is we take the number of child abuse and neglect cases that occur throughout the state and by region and the number of incidents, and we divide that up to make sure that we have good resources to provide in those programs in those regions.
And where can people get more information about these programs or to help out?
They actually can call the office. They can call area code 225-342-2245, or they can go to lctf.org. You know, we've got a wonderful website that is somewhat interactive. We have annual grantee meetings and a grantee program that we provide information for. And so if they would like to have follow-up on that, they can do that. So it'll be great.